Well, hello, everybody, and happy lunch hour. Thank you for spending time with us. I'm Reggie Edwards at the Encouraging Place, and this is something we do every fourth Thursday at 12 noon. Even though when you hear this, it'll be differently. But we're so glad that you're with us, and we have a really special guest with us today. We have Principal Jason Jowers at Rise Charter School. You say, well, what made me highlight a charter school? And it's because I went there and I was so totally impressed that I said, hey, I got to have you on the show because Rise Charter School is one of the best kept secrets in Raleigh. I had no idea. I was living around the corner from the school and had no idea the wonderful and beautiful things that's going on in Southeast Raleigh. So at this point, Principal Jowers, would you tell us a little bit about you and how you came to Rise and your story?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Once again, good to see you again. My name is Jason Jowers, principal at Rise Charter School. This is my third year at Rise, and I've been in education for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
And this is my maybe 10th year as a principal in education. So it's ironic. I never intended to go into this field, and my
How
mom
so?
was a lifelong educator and tried to
Uh-huh.
steer me away from education.
Uh-huh.
And the state of North Carolina had a scholarship called the Teaching Fellow Scholarship. I think they still have it. And
Uh-huh.
I received the Teaching Fellow Scholarship when I was in high school, which covered most of my college tuition. But part of the scholarship was you had to teach for 4 years.
Okay.
And after teaching for 4 years, I was locked in at that point, and
Really?
here I am.
Hey, that is wonderful. So, but before you became a principal, what did you do before you became?
I was a high school teacher. I was
Okay.
a social studies teacher and taught some other subjects here and there, economics and different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a social studies teacher for 4 years, high school teacher rather for 4 years. Then I became a assistant principal for four
Mm-hmm.
years,
Mm-hmm.
and I was North Carolina assistant principal of the year. In my
Hey.
fourth year, I was a Durham Public Schools teacher of the year. My first year eligibility in Durham Public Schools, and then they asked me to go be an elementary school principal.
All right. All
And
right.
initially, I was like, "Yeah, not interested. You can keep it." I had no interest in the babies at all. High school was my thing. And
Uh-huh.
after some pushing and prying to get me there, I ended up going and I loved it. And I've kind of stayed in this ballpark ever since. So Rise is actually a K-8 charter school. So I'm still able to work with the babies, but we go up to eighth grade as well.
Know
And
that.
our goal is just to prepare kids for whatever high school they go to in North Carolina. So
Hey.
we aren't necessarily a STEM-based school. We give kids access to all of those things. So if you
Yeah.
want to go to a high school that's in the arts, a high school that's STEM based, we equip you with the soft skills and the hard skills you need to be successful either pathway you take.
That is too wonderful. Well, tell me how. I mean, so you've been at Rise two
It's
years.
my third year.
This is your third year,
Yep.
but now it's Rise. It was paved before,
It
right?
was paved before.
And that was significant to me. The name change. I was
Yep.
like, pave and Rise.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean that was significant. I said, wow, it really says something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That
And
the
I don't
the
think that
name
was
change.
the original intent. I think,
Okay.
but when we look at it in hindsight, you could say pave the way for Rise.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
for
yeah,
us
yeah.
to rise. And so
Hmm.
PAVE was a network out of New York that was trying to branch south. And
Okay.
they ran into some complications, and once COVID hit, they just decided to cut ties. And I think what they realized was the funding that you receive for students in New York is significantly different
Different.
than what you
Lower.
receive in North Carolina. It's much
Huh?
lower. So
Huh?
I'll give you some numbers. For example, we get about $10,000 per child.
Uh-huh.
In New York, they get over $20,000 per child.
Wow.
So it's significantly different. So a lot of things they're able to do, you just can't do from a budgetary standpoint in North
Yeah.
Carolina. And so I
Huh?
think making that adjustment was challenging, but
Hmm.
instead of shutting the school down. Some board members from the area stayed on, rebranded, and that's when we became Rise, new mission. We held on to some of the paved things, but we new mission, new values. Our mission is for our scholars to thrive academically, strengthen the community, and discover their voice. Our values are resilience, integrity, scholarship, and excellence. And those are the things that we're pushing each and every day.
Hey, I know when I came there, I heard him say that, and I said, "Man, I love this place," you know? But tell me, I think everybody might not understand, what's the difference in a charter school and a regular school? I
That's a
don't think
great
everybody
question.
gets
We get
that.
that a
Yeah.
lot. So
Mhm.
we are a public school.
Okay.
The difference is we're not a part of Wake County Public Schools or Durham Public Schools or
Uh-huh.
Johnston County Public
Mhm.
Schools. We're our own entity. So
Okay.
we are essentially Rise Public Schools, even though
Okay.
we're just a standalone building.
Mhm.
But we get our funding from the state of North Carolina. We have a 100% lottery, so we can't pick and choose our kids. That's
Mhm.
a misconception that people have. We have
Yeah.
to take whoever gets in through the lottery.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we don't pick off the top, we take everybody. And
Mhm.
so if you
Mhm.
apply and you get
Mhm.
in through the lottery, then you get to attend Rise. The same
Mhm.
way as if you try to get into a magnet school in Wake County.
Mhm.
It's the same process essentially. So that's
Mhm.
the biggest difference. We have our own board of education. So we're
Mhm.
not affiliated with the Wake County Board of Education. Our executive director, Ms. Dawn Arthur, she
Mhm.
somewhat serves as our superintendent, and
Okay.
I am the principal for our school entity, and I oversee both the elementary aspect as well as the middle school aspect.
Okay. And really, I thought it was K through 5, but you're saying K through 8.
I
So
spend a
you
lot of my
really
time in middle school.
Yeah, so you're holding on to them for a long time
Long
to
time.
get them all the way ready
That's
for,
why I tell you, we wanna prepare them, especially if you bring them to us in kindergarten, and what we find is our kids that start with us in kindergarten typically significantly outperform our scholars that might come to us in 4th grade or 5th grade or 6th grade because they're getting that foundation that we're laying. So we do a lot to try to get other kids caught up that come later,
Mhm.
but when you put your kid in here early, I mean, we get them ready for high school.
That is wonderful. That is a beautiful thing. I told you when I went there, I was like, "Man, this is the best kept secret in Southeast Raleigh." You
Absolutely.
know? So, your daughter is even at the school, and that says a lot. So what do you love about Rise, and what does she love about Rise?
You know, it's funny, my daughter was at a private school last year,
Okay.
and I pulled her out of private school to put her in our public school, our
Okay.
public
Okay.
charter school. One of
Mhm.
the reasons that I wanted her here was my wife always thought she should have been here anyway.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I was just
Uh-huh.
uncomfortable, like, that's a lot of pressure on the teacher, a lot of pressure on
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
But some of the things that were happening at the private school, for one, there weren't a lot of people that looked like her.
Yeah, I
Our
hear you.
our school is over 90% black and brown,
Uh-huh.
and I think that matters when you have a child of color.
There you
And,
go, and you
uh,
better say it.
yes,
Yes.
I believe in diversity and all those different things, and,
Yeah.
to each his own, but I think it was important. She never felt accepted, she never felt a part of that community where I
Mhm.
had her, and she had good teachers and everything like that, but I
Mhm.
want her to go if you're gonna be there every day and you
Uh-huh.
spending a quarter of your day at a particular place, that
Mhm.
needs to be a place that you enjoy going. That needs to be a place where you can wear your hair in braids and beads and feel comfortable doing that, and so, my daughter feels comfortable doing that now.
Mhm.
Also, I know the level of education that we're instilling in our kids.
Okay.
I know the
Okay.
standard that we're educating at. I know that we expect our kids to be in the hallway on level 0. I know
Alright.
that we expect that our kids to be in class, sitting at a desk with their back flat, tracking the teacher, listening to the directives, reading, writing, and getting arithmetic. So
Mhm.
I just know what our expectations are, and I said, if it's not good enough for my child, why should anybody else send their child?
That is significant.
I wanna be the primary example. I have my child here, I trust it, and with that, we have several of our teachers that have also brought their children as well.
So, what makes Rise different? I mean, I'm not talking about the brochure, you do a great brochure,
Yeah.
but what makes it different? I mean, hey,
I
you can go to any charter school. I mean,
You can go to any
what
charter
makes
school,
this
any
one?
school. I
Yeah.
think we are real and transparent about who we are and what we do, and we're not gonna change
Mhm.
for anybody.
Mhm.
And we tell you up front that Rise is not for everybody.
Okay.
When I do all the school tours and when I do a tour, I tell families up front, we're gonna harass you into greatness or we're gonna harass you out.
I love it.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, we trying to throw kids out of school. No, if you don't wanna do right as a parent,
All right.
if you are not gonna hold your child accountable to the standards that we've set, you're going to get so tired of us calling you about getting your child to school on time or getting your
Mhm.
child to school or making sure they're doing their homework, making sure they're respectful, whatever the case may be, if they aren't meeting the standard, that
Mhm.
eventually you're gonna have to make a decision. And that decision is, okay, let me get on board and do what I'm supposed to do. Or
Mhm.
you're gonna say, I can go to the school down the street. They're not gonna bother me this much.
Yeah.
But if they are here, we're gonna
Mhm.
harass your child into greatness or we are going to harass them out. And I think a lot of schools, we get so preoccupied and busy with the work that we don't have those communications with families and parents and set those expectations. And I think a lot of times, even when we set those expectations, again, we get preoccupied with the work and we forget about the expectations that we've set. We always keep that mission forefront. I tell my teachers, our mission, the A clause, is for our scholars to thrive academically.
Mhm.
All the other stuff we doing is cool, but if they not thriving academically,
There
then
you
what are
go.
we here for? We're school. That's
Mhm.
what's supposed to happen first. And that's
Mhm.
what we're going to make sure happens. Our
Mhm.
values, resilience, integrity, scholarship, and excellence. These are things that should be interwoven into everything that we do every single day because that's how we're going to build resilient students that are able to go to any high school and thrive. We want to
I
make
love it.
sure when they finish high school, they're enlisted, they're enrolled, or they're employed. They're
Come on, come
productive
on.
members
That's
of
it.
society. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that's what we're pushing them to do. And if you aren't on board with that mission and those values, you're going to have a complicated experience here. But if
Mhm.
you're aspiring for greatness for your children, then we probably be a good fit.
That's a wonderful thing. I remembered when I worked in the elementary school 100 years ago. One of the things that happened, because I was admin, and by 9 o'clock, teachers had sent 5 kids to the office. I'm like, "It's just 9 o'clock."
Right, right,
And
right,
it's
right.
like, I can't do nothing with him, and I don't want him in here. And I'm like, "Well, you can't send him to the office every day."
Can't do it. You can't do it.
But they did. So
Yeah,
I said, "Okay, I'm gonna have my own little school in here." So I said, "Okay, send their work." And the one thing I would always say to them, I was like, "Tell me who are the good kids in this school." And they would hold their little heads down. I'm like, "Aren't y'all the good kids in this school that's sitting in front of me?" And they pipe up like, "Yeah." So I said, "Okay, when
I
I
love
ask
it.
you tomorrow, tell me who are the good kids at this school." And all they needed was a little push, and they wanted to know that you care. You care about
That's
me
it.
instead of who sent me to the office every day. Every day. I'm like, what is this kid supposed to do if they're sitting in my office every day?
Yep.
Right? And I can't do nothing with him and he's gonna disturb the class. Like, well, what you doing here?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I mean, it's some terrible student problems and sad stories of
Well,
things that
and
kids
to
have
your point,
experienced.
I think, there's some really bad teachers too.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
That's where I was
There's
going.
some really bad teachers,
Mhm.
and we do extensive training. We do 2 weeks of PD with our teachers before the school year ever starts.
Mhm.
Every Friday, we get out of school at 1:30. We get out early every Friday for staff development. So we're
Mhm.
training our staff weekly on what our expectations are, on what we expect to see in the classroom, on what the pedagogy should look like inside the
Okay.
classroom. So we
Mhm.
don't leave it to chance. Like we want you
Mhm.
to have your own flavor, but there's some non-negotiables that we expect as well because
Mhm.
it's tried and true. It's
Yeah.
scientifically
Yeah.
backed. We're not just making this stuff up. There's a art to teaching, there's an art to learning, and we have to be able to deliver on that process. And so it's important that we're continuing to challenge our teachers to become better at that craft and to have a saying to my staff, make me pull you back, don't make me push you. If
All
I
right. I
gotta keep
love it.
pushing you to do more and do better, I I can go get somebody else. That's unnecessary stress.
Mhm.
But I wanna be the person that's saying like, "Ooh, I like that idea. We not there yet. Hold on. Keep that thought though." I don't mind doing that's not a bad thing to me because you also pushing me as your leader
There you
to
go.
elevate my expectation and to catch
Mhm.
up to where you are. So we all are holding each other accountable and pushing each other to be great. And by default, our kids are going to be the benefactors of that, of us
Yeah.
elevating each other. So that's what we want to continue to do. But if you have teachers in the classroom that don't have that mindset, don't
There you go, there you go, that is the truth, and feel bad about themselves. I mean,
feel
they
bad
won't
about
feel good
themselves.
about themselves if every day the teacher's saying ugly things to them and sending them out to class. And what does that do to the kids who stay in the class?
Yep,
To feel a certain type of way about that kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, "Oh, those are the bad kids,"
yep.
because of what he looks like, right?
I think one of the greatest compliments I recently got the beginning of this month was like Principal Appreciation Day or something like that. And one of the greatest compliments I got that day, it wouldn't have been a lot to some people, but the eighth graders created some chart and some of them wrote some stuff, some of them just drew a picture. But one particular scholar of ours, new scholar this year, first year, has had some trouble this year, from time to time, had got kicked out of her previous school, and for the most part though, she's been a good kid. Like, I love
Mhm,
her a lot.
mhm.
And she put on my thing, "Mr. Jowers, thank you for creating a safe environment for us where we can come and learn and we don't have to worry about other stuff."
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I said, "You don't know, that kid, you don't know what they're going home to. You don't know what
Mhm.
their family situation is. You don't know what the drama that they have to deal with." But her making that, she would never say that to my face. She hardcore.
I hear you.
She would never
Uh-huh.
say that to my face. But on that note, what that showed me was she knows when she come to Rise, it's a safe space. She ain't gotta worry about foolishness, and she can be
Mhm.
a kid and she can be a student. And that's
Yeah,
what we're here for. She gonna be
yeah.
safe. She ain't gotta worry
Mhm.
about looking over her shoulder. She might have to go home and do that, but when she come here, I can be me. And that was probably the
Yeah.
greatest compliment I coulda got.
That is a sweet thing. I love hearing that. Here at the Encouraging Place, we're all about making connections and, getting people over this whole race thing so we can get on the same page to go and be what God's called us to be.
Mhm.
So when you look at, I mean, okay, so you said you've got a tad of diversity in your school.
Tat.
A tad of diversity in your school. But how does that play out with the few minority, if you will? And
Yeah.
I hate the word too, because it's like minority indicates less than. But for the lowest the lowest number of kids you have, how does that work with the other kids? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole lot of black kids, if I can say it.
A whole lot of
Right.
black and brown folk,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
here's the thing, I say with folks that are or that claim to be, and I hope nobody takes this disrespectfully, but with folks that claim to be progressive or activists in certain things, like we're progressive and we want diversity in everything except our education.
Mhm. Yeah,
When it comes
hey.
to education, when you look at schools, like we the color barrier and all that should have been broke a long time ago, but our schools are still
Yes.
as segregated as they ever been.
That's
And
for
if
real.
you go on greatschools.com right now and look at my school, we 8 out of 10 in the green. If you
Yay.
look at our growth data, how much we're growing kids, we're 10 out of 10.
Wow.
But folk aren't beating the door down to come here that don't look like us.
I hear you. I hear you.
And I commend the few that have,
Mhm.
because they truly are looking for the best experience for their child,
Mhm.
and color isn't impeding them
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
making the choice to choose Rise.
Mhm.
And what we found is they're not putting their kids in and pulling them out. They're
I
putting
hear
their
you.
kids in and they keeping them here and they telling somebody about it.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
commend them. But as we think about this aspect of racial healing and dealing with the past and things of that nature, the fact that the number of families that are not black and brown applying to our schools still is very minuscule.
Mhm.
That still shows we got a lot of progress to make
Mhm.
if you
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
truly sincere about we talk about great schools and great environments. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. We got the numbers and results
Mhm.
to back it up. We
Yeah, that's
zero
beautiful.
tolerance with bullying and anything. We accept everybody, and we hold everybody to the same bar. The bar doesn't change because of how you look or where you come from. But I think we have to continue to just speak that narrative, and folk
Mhm.
have to make a decision about, what truly is going to be best for my child. Am I going to put them in a school that's getting it done, or am I going to look at the people at that school and prevent them from going because of that?
I hear you. I hear you. So a lot of people feel like the challenges in education are too big to do anything about. Well, this is the way it is. So what would you say to somebody who feels that way? Like, well, this is the way it is, and if they can just get to high school, you know what I'm saying? Not knowing anything, but anyway, because people can look at it like that. Well, This is just the way it's gonna be. You know?
I think it's the bigotry of low expectations.
Hey, hey, I like
I
it.
and unfortunately, a lot of time that impacts Black and brown students.
Mhm.
That impacts kids from low income communities the most, and typically those kids from low income communities are Black and brown students.
Yeah, yeah.
So, the same expectations that I expected the private school my daughter was at to
Mhm.
have,
Mhm.
I have those same expectations for the kids that come to Rise.
Mhm.
I don't care socioeconomic background or any of that. And I think if we hold that bar,
Yeah.
the kids will meet the bar. They're kids.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
talking about 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old. They're
Mhm.
kids.
Mhm.
But also we work really hard to hold their parents accountable. And so
Mhm.
again, I go back to we're gonna harass you into greatness or we're gonna harass you out because it starts at home.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so a lot of times, especially the community that we serve, parents, have had negative experiences themselves in school.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's an intimidation factor there. There's a wall there, and we have to be intentional about breaking that wall down,
Mhm.
welcoming them into the building,
Mhm.
being overly explicit about our communication and what our expectations are,
Mhm.
making sure that we're giving parents the resources to be able to help their scholar at home, not just saying you should be doing this, that, and the other. No, no, no. My teacher's first grade teacher, she's giving me the spelling. I'm the principal. I don't know what spelling words she need to do.
Mhm.
But the teacher, she sent us at the beginning of every week a long. I'm like, man, she writing books to us. But it's giving me all the tools I need to work with my child at home. So
Mhm.
now I have to make a decision as a parent. Am I going to be too tired to do it?
Mhm.
Or am I going to fulfill my responsibility as a parent and help
Mhm.
her with this homework, help her study these spelling words and doing those things? And
Mhm.
once again, if we have parents that aren't doing that, we are going to be on the phone call because we
Mhm.
have an expectation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again,
I
so the
love it. I
bigotry of
love it.
low
I love it.
expectations for me is one of the things that disproportionately impacts schools with students primarily of color. And if we can overcome those low expectations and make sure we're putting the right people in place that
Mhm.
have the right expectation, we'll see them continue to rise as well.
There you go. Well, look, talk to me about your what do they call it? A PTA in regular schools. What kinds of things do you do with for parents?
We have a PSA, a Parent Scholar Association.
Okay, I
So
like it. I like it. I like it.
yep, yep. So our PSA, we have a PSA president. She's also on staff. It's a position that we actually created this year. I think the title is Community and Engagement Coordinator.
I think I met her.
You
Yeah.
probably did. So we wanted to be more intentional about making sure we're galvanizing our parents, making sure our parents know we want you in the building. We want you to be an active participant in the learning experience. We not a babysitting service.
Come
We're a
on. Come on.
school and we're here to
Mhm.
educate. And with that, it's a partnership. You
Mhm.
need to be a part of this partnership. So
Mhm.
again, she's constantly going back and forth with our parents, making sure we're getting that information. She's having parent meetings with the parents so she can get feedback from them of things that are going well, but also gaps that we may see that she can bring back to us so we can try to close those gaps. So again, this year we wanted to be even more intentional about engaging our parents. And so we brought the position on so we can have that liaison so parents didn't feel, again, maybe there are parents that are intimidated by the school. So we needed this person that could be outreach and bring them into the fold so we could continue to break down those walls.
Yeah. When I met her, she was so excited
Yeah.
about being a parent with a child in that school and working at that school.
Yep.
And when we came to the Friday, was it a Friday?
Character assembly.
Yeah, character assembly. She was like, "That's my child right there." She was so excited, and we were walking out. She was like, "Well, let me see the end of this." I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, okay, okay. We can sit here until you see the end." She says, "'Cause that's my child." And I
Yep.
said, "That's excitement to me."
Yep.
You know
And
what I'm
that's what
saying?
we
And
want
that
from
and
all
that's
our
how a
families.
parent ought to feel about their kids.
I mean, I tell people, parents are like, can we volunteer, when I do tours and things? And I'm like, the majority of my substitute teachers that I bring in the building are parents.
Wonderful.
And for me, it's like, what better substitute than somebody that is really invested in the product?
Yes,
And so I'm
yes,
like,
I love
absolutely,
it.
we'll get you trained. If you had a time to come in and sub, we're gonna run a
Mhm.
background check, make sure you legit. But
Come on.
if all of that run checks out, we'll get you trained and put you in the classroom and make sure you're good.
Yeah. That's exciting. I had never heard that before.
Yep.
I had never heard that before. I think that is just woo. It is so wonderful. So, when kid, I hate to say kids, folk hate that word, but I'm talking about little ones.
Hmm.
But when well, you call them scholars, go ahead.
Dollars. Yeah.
So when your scholars come, so how many of the scholars live in that neighborhood? Are there many? I often wonder because I've seen signs, throughout the community about Rise, but I'm like, who are they and what's that about? And I'm
Uh-huh.
wondering how many people in the community actually know, especially right there in that immediate
Right.
community right there where you all are.
So about 70 to 75% of our scholars come from the Southeast Raleigh community. So we
Wonderful.
do provide transportation and we only service the Southeast Raleigh community.
All
So we
right.
only service about 2 to 3 zip codes because again, we want to make sure that we're serving the people right here next to us.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
so
significant.
we're super intentional about that. Now, we have people that come from as far as Fayetteville to bring
Mm,
their kids to our school because again, we're a public school, we're a lottery. So if you apply and you get in, we can't tell you no.
yeah, I
So if
love it.
you can come from
Mhm,
wherever you want to. I live in
mhm,
Durham. I bring my daughter from Durham. You can
mhm,
come from wherever, but we try to be intentional about targeting the Southeast Raleigh community and the
mhm.
people directly in proximity to us.
That's a wonderful thing because for too long and for so long, we've been left out.
We've been left
You
out.
know, and I told when I was in the meeting, that when we came for the tour, I said, "I have not been in a school where the kids were so excited about learning and sharing what they learned." I mean, I was sitting there, I was just totally engrossed like, "Wow, look at this." Right? They were so excited and ready to share
Yep.
and say what to say their little part. And I said, "Oh, I love this. This is how it's supposed to be." I told somebody, I said, when I went to Haiti, that was the only time I saw kids excited about going to school.
Wow.
Because you had to kind of go through this little path and go up this little hill and the kids would shoot right by us like, look, y'all got to get out the way because
Yep.
we got to get to school because they were so excited. And then they got to the school and it had what the divider was these little corn shuck things. And it was so many of them in there, but they were so excited about being in school, right? Because that was it for them. That was like, that's it. Like you saying, you don't know what they got to go back home
No.
to, but that is the warm community that kids needed, right?
I
So,
tell our teachers, we're gonna control what we can control. We
mm-hmm,
can't control the external,
mm-mm,
but we can control everything that happens in this building, and we wanna create an undeniable experience that they look forward to every day.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Because when
mm-hmm.
they look forward to coming to school, they don't mind the work.
There you go.
I
There
mean,
you go.
adults go to work and they don't wanna go to work,
They
but you
hate
gotta
it.
make a
Yeah.
living,
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
sometimes kids gonna feel like that as well, but,
Mm-hmm.
we have something we say, "Work hard, play hard." So we
Mm-hmm.
gonna work, we gonna write, we gonna read, we gonna put in, but we wanna make sure we also give them a lot of opportunities to celebrate, that we recognize them for the great things that they're doing. We give them opportunities to be kids and play with each other, communicate with each other, all those different things, but again, the main thing is you're gonna thrive academically first.
So if you could stand right there in front of your door and with a bullhorn, what would you say to the community?
If you are looking for a school where your scholar will thrive academically, be filled with the skills to strengthen their community, and be in a place where they can discover their voice, where they're going to receive tools to become more resilient, we're going to feed into them as a person to build their integrity, we're going to be academically excellent, and we're going to push them toward excellence, Rise is the place to be.
I love it. I love it. And it would be different if I had never been in there. I mean, it's a beautiful school environment, but the school is beautiful too. I know y'all didn't just clean up because we came, right? But it was so nice, and I said, I like this. It's a warm spirit right when you come in from the front door, and all the people who volunteer there, they had that same enthusiasm that the kids had, and I'm like, look at this. You
That's
don't
the
see it.
standard.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like you so oftentimes in our communities that we have a negative connotation about ourself.
Mhm,
We have a low expectation for ourself or people that look like us.
mhm,
And that doesn't have to be the case. We
mhm,
we don't have to have a low bar. We can be excellent too.
Mhm.
and we can show up excellent. We can speak clear. We can speak eloquently. We can do all of these things, and that can be the standard. And when the standard is there, people will rise to the standard. And if they're not trying to rise to the standard, they'll go somewhere where they can do what they want to do. But
Mhm.
here, we always want to make sure we keep that standard the standard. And we think that's why families continue to choose us because they know what the standard is
Mhm.
and they trust that we have the best interest of their scholar. Their scholar is going to come here and be safe. We're going to push their scholar into greatness, but we also are going to communicate with them the good things that are happening with their scholar. And if they have some things that we need to work on, we're going to communicate that too.
Yeah, yeah. And that's wonderful that parents can feel that I can go and say to them A, B, and C, right? Instead of it being like, if you go, they're gonna put your child out of school. When when I used to work at an elementary school, the principal would call the parent because Johnny is doing something terrible today. And so this parent did not have a car, so she had to catch a cab all the way across town
Mm,
to come to that school to pick up that child. And when I see her get out the cab, I'm like, wait a minute, wait. Let me go up here and start talking. Let me go up here and start talking to her now. Because by the time she gets to this door, she's going to be hot. Because the cab is out here waiting. All that, now, all that money they had to spend. Because she had to come from, I mean, we were this was in North Raleigh, but she was way somewhere else to
wow.
have to come and pick up that child. And I said, I'd run out and say, let me start talking to her now because I knew when she got inside that school what that principal was going to say,
Hmm.
and it was not going to be nice.
Hmm.
Right. And I said, her hot and him too. I said, man, let me say. So I say to her, go and say to me what you're going to say when you get in here, because I know what's in here.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
I know what he's going to say, right, to your child. So it's a wonderful thing when parents feel comfortable having their say and that you will listen and then still call them to a high standard.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
Miss Edwards, I tell parents, the communication tool we use with families is called talking points. And I tell my families, I'm on talking points. We use something else called Class Dojo. I'm on Class Dojo. Send me a message. You're not bothering me. Because
Mhm.
if you quiet, if I'm not hearing from you, I'm thinking you good. I'm thinking
Uh-huh.
everything is good. So
Mhm.
unless you're telling me, don't
Mhm.
assume I know.
Yeah,
Reach
yeah.
out because I want to make sure that we're fulfilling the things that we said we're going to do. I want to
Mhm.
make sure that we are being excellent. I want
Mhm.
to make sure that our scholars are thriving academically. I see higher level data points, but if your particular scholar is not thriving academically and you don't feel like we're servicing them and nobody's listening to you, you need to let me know that so I can do
Mhm.
my job as the principal and
Mhm.
I can follow up with their teachers. What kind of communication have we done for this parent? Have we had a parent meeting or anything like that? What kind of interventions are we doing?
Mhm.
Because that's academically. When it comes to behavior, I tell families a lot of time, if it makes it to me, unless it's fighting or something like that, we zero tolerance for that. But if it makes it to me, there's so many layers of
Yeah,
intervention
they should have.
to try to
Mhm.
support a
Mhm.
child. If
Mhm.
it make it to me, we can't. We don't need to have a lot of conversation. And fortunately,
Mhm.
a lot of our families know that. Mr. Jowers, I get it, do what you gotta do. But I just love our families and our community also, because a lot of time they're giving me a license like, Mr. Jowers, I need you to go say something to him. Or
Mhm.
Mr. Jowers, she done lost her mind. You better say something before I do.
Yeah, that's it. But, I heard some interesting statistics when I was there. Can you share some of those
Yeah,
statistics?
so if you look at the data for our school, if you look at our proficiency data as it pertains apples to apples, because a lot of time we get these stats from the state of North Carolina, but we know black and brown students typically perform the lowest
Yes.
and they get lost in a lot of that, even at high performing schools.
Mhm.
And if you look at the 15 surrounding schools to us, our student proficiency, that's the number of kids passing the end of grade test, we're number two out of all of those schools. But the number one school, they met growth, whereas
Mhm.
we exceeded growth.
Come
Why is that
on.
significant?
Mhm.
Because the state measures your growth off of not meeting growth, or exceeding growth.
Mhm.
And that's based off the historical data of every child. So
Mhm.
based off of all the kids that rise in grades 3 through 8, that take the end of grade test for North Carolina. The state projects you to score a certain way,
Mhm.
and you can meet that, not meet that, or exceed that.
Mhm.
And for the last 2 years, and we hoping for the last 3 years, we would have exceeded that. So we've
Wonderful.
exceeded that for the last 3 years. 2 years ago, we were the number 2 school in the state for growth. And the school again, I'm sorry, I didn't know my
You're
radio.
being a principal. Yeah.
Yeah. And for the last, and last year, some of the data you're talking about, the school that outperformed us in proficiency, we outperformed them in growth.
All
So
right.
that matters because sometimes schools are getting kids that they're gonna pass, it doesn't matter who in front of them,
Uh-huh.
but you
That's
aren't
right.
necessarily growing those kids.
Mhm.
What we've been able to demonstrate is it doesn't matter what level you're coming to us at, we're
Mhm.
gonna take you up a level.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, that is so exciting. If I had a kid, I'd send him right there right now. That's the truth. So I wish we had people on here because I'm sure they would have had a lot of questions to ask. But I am so so glad that Rise is there and that the children are doing just that. I am so glad in the neighborhood
Mhm.
because you could be way, 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 way out,
Right.
but you're in Southeast Raleigh and let the world hear it. It's in Southeast Raleigh and
Southeast Raleigh.
excellence is thriving in Southeast Raleigh because a lot of the things you hear about schools is you hear about the bad behavior. You hear about they brought these kind of things to school. You hear negative stuff. I'm like, we'd have
That's
heard
all you
enough
hear.
negative stuff about schools on every elementary, middle, and high school level. Like, well, are the kids learning anything? Right? Because all you hear is the terrible things about these terrible kids in this school. And I wouldn't put my child in that school. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Something's real wrong here, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so to hear you excited about your job, that you like what you do,
Love it.
and you like it enough, you love what you do,
Mhm.
enough to bring your own child to that school, because that's a test right there.
Mhm.
Because if you didn't bring your child, it's like, so what's wrong with this school?
That's a message. That's a
Yeah,
message.
yeah. That's major that you would bring your own child to the school and your child is thriving too. 'Cause
Exactly.
I know it's different for her at Rise over where she was.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
I
Right.
know it's real different. So I'm telling you right now, I am so, so glad that that I met you, and that I heard your story when you didn't think I was listening because you didn't know I was in that group that came in there. And how excited the kids were when you came up and started talking. They were like, they were so excited, right? And I said, that's what school's supposed to be, especially on a Friday, right?
Especially on a Friday. Right.
Yeah, because I like,
Just on
Fridays,
Friday.
we ready to get up out of there, right? So we certainly appreciate it. So what I want you to do is give us how to contact you, how to contact Rise, give us the address and the phone numbers and all of that stuff so people can contact the school and you.
Absolutely. The easiest way to find us, go on the website. We are rise.org, risese.org. Go on the website, find us. We are in Southeast Raleigh. The easiest way for me to describe that, I always tell people if you know where the Upper Room Church is,
It's
we're right
behind
behind
that.
the Upper Room Church. I say
Mm-hmm.
rise, I try to describe it, and people, I don't know what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Upper Room, now I know what Upper Room is.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
go
yeah,
to
yeah.
Upper Room, we are right behind
Behind
Upper
it.
Room. So
Mm-hmm.
we do
Mm-hmm.
tours on Wednesdays. I lead all the tours. You'll have an
Wonderful.
opportunity to meet me. The tour dates are on the website. We are a lottery school. We still do have kindergarten spots available. So we would love for your kindergarten scholar to start their education career with us. If you have questions about other grades, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you would like to talk to me personally, I'm an open book and as transparent as can be. So I'm gonna be honest with you. If you don't like honesty, you don't need to talk to me.
Don't call you.
But I'm gonna be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully you'll be honest with me as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we are a school. We welcome everyone. We are 100% lottery. We don't cherry pick off the top. It is a free public school. You don't have to pay for anything. We are a uniform school as well. We ask our scholars to wear uniforms because again, bullying is zero tolerant here. And so we like everybody in the same uniform, so we don't even have to worry
No
about
time
things
for
like
that.
that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are zero cell phone school, technology school, so we don't have
Ooh,
to worry
wonderful,
about that.
wonderful.
We don't
'cause
have
that
to
is a
worry about
problem.
that. So we run a tight ship. And if you want your scholar to be somewhere where they run a tight ship, but they have high expectations, but they're going to have an undeniable experience, give us a shot.
There you go, there you go. And what's that actual the actual physical address there?
You know what? I don't think I have it in front of me.
I got it,
You
just
got
in
it.
case you don't. I
Thank
just
you
looked
so
at it. It's
much.
3420 Idlewood Village Drive, Raleigh 27610, which Idlewood Village Drive is off of Sanderford Road,
It's off.
right?
Yep.
It's still Sanford right there.
It's off Rockport
Of Rock Quarry, and then it's off Sanderford,
and off
right?
Sun. Right, right,
And
right,
then
right.
and then you make that right turn
Yep.
onto Idlewood Village Drive. So
Correct.
I thank you so much that resilience, integrity, scholarship, and excellence is what you
Say
all
it
are
loud and
about.
proud.
Uh-huh. And I know in 10 years, what do you want to see your kids?
In 10 years, if our board and our executive director have their way, we probably will have our own high school at
All
that
right.
point.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Probably have our own high school at that point. But at that point, hopefully we have an alumni association that's thriving, that's coming back, giving back to our scholars. Hopefully in 10 years, we have several college graduates that
Mm,
are coming back and giving back and speaking to our scholars as well, or entrepreneurs, folks that have started their own businesses
mm-hmm.
that can come back and give our students game on how you become an entrepreneur, how to open up an LLC or a C Corp or whatever it may be. So again, we want to equip them with the soft skills to be able to go whatever direction they want to go to, whether that's military, college, entrepreneurship, or just a productive member of society. We want to
Yeah.
create and produce great people. I don't think we talk enough about that in schools. Put so much pressure on, are you going to be this or be that just be a good person.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything else will fall into place.
Fall
Just,
in
just,
place.
just be a good person.
Mhm, mhm. That is wonderful. Well, I just wanna thank you so much for being on our podcast today. I I when I first told people about you and wanting to feature, Rise, they were like, "Well, what's that got to do with what you do?" I was like, "Because Rise is the best kept secret in
Best
Raleigh,
kept secret.
and people need to know. And what needs to happen is all your empty spaces need to be full, and you need to have to have a list because people are running to that school."
That's what
So
we
I
want.
thank you. I thank you for the good job you're doing, and people are gonna hear this on Monday.
Okay.
So I expect the people who wanna be a part of the tours and to talk more about how they can get their child in there, because I'm
Absolutely. And
sure.
we would love for you to come back, bring some folk with you. We appreciate you featuring us. And again, we're not a perfect school. We stopped being perfect when I started working here. But we are striving for perfection every day.
That is wonderful. I love it. I love it. Well, we'll be in touch, and I hope that you'll hear from a lot of people from this podcast. Thank you
Sounds
for
good.
being our guest on the we call it the Racial Healing Lunch Huddle. So if the folks spent their lunch with us, hey, that's the important thing. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
can we get his info up there from school? Okay, so they're going to put all your contact info up so people can, if they didn't hear it from you, it's gonna be up, okay?
Great. And thank you for having that address. I have cards and I'm looking, I'm like, why did they give me cards with no address on it?
Yeah, that's why I had it. That's why I had it here. But yeah, we're gonna look forward to more things, and I hope that I can bring a group of people to come on one of the tours on one of those Wednesdays.
That
And
would
wait
be
a minute,
great.
one more thing. I heard about a certain a lunch program that what is this? What is that? It's a lunch the, the a food service program. What is that?
I should have talked about that. So yeah, we
Yeah,
are
okay. You got 5
we're
minutes.
doing we're doing a scratch cooking program. We'll be the first in the state to do it. We want to kind of be the leader in this. You hear so oftentimes about kids not eating, partly because they just don't like the food at lunch.
Food. Yeah.
And so we've hired, I can say, a chef that's going to be working in our kitchen, that's going to be cooking from scratch. It's not going to be warming up food like we
Yay.
typically do in
Mhm.
most public schools, but they're going to get fresh fruit, fresh food with fresh meats and vegetables every single day that's cooked from scratch. Well, they'll have
Mhm.
options, not just you just put it on the plate, but they'll be able to pick what they want each day. So we believe that every child will be excited about eating and will
Mhm.
be nourished. And we know when a kid is hungry, that impacts the learning
They
process.
can't focus.
So
Mm-mm,
again, we
mm-mm.
want to stop kids from being hungry in school, but give them something that they want to eat so they can be excited about that, and that'll carry over into success in the classroom.
Because you got a top chef coming in to do some of the programs. Because somebody told me they were going to go and be a part of the prep class or something that you
We do.
got.
I can't remember the guy's name, but we've partnered with.
Yeah, I know that guy.
We
Yeah,
partner
yeah.
with a group that's really behind it. We have a lot of backing, a lot of people that want to see this work because
Mhm,
a lot of people see the need. And so,
mhm,
my executive director, she's really pushing the program, really excited about it. I'm excited about it. We had a tasting a couple of weeks ago where we invited a lot of our
mhm.
scholars.
I heard about
When
it.
they asked for seconds, they were running back up
Mhm,
to get the food. So, I mean, that's your constituent right there. So they
mhm,
seem pleased with what's happening.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, it's some wonderful things going on at Rise,
Yep,
and
yep.
I am happy about it.
Yeah, so we're
Well,
excited.
Principal Jason Jowers, I wanna call you Showers. Jowers, I thank you for being with us, and it's gonna get better. It's gonna
Absolutely.
get better from here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, and looking forward to it, and I know they probably trying to find you in the school to say, "Come come down." I thank you for being with us, and it only gets better from here.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate
Okay.
it and look forward to seeing you again.
Okay, we'll do. We'll be there.
Okay.